going on, everybody? And welcome back to the second ever episode from Rep the Peach Media. I'm your host, Trey King. And well, if you're new here, our goal is very simple. This is a Georgia baseball podcast trying to help kids, high school athletes get recruited. Whether you're a high school player, indeed trying to get recruited, a parent trying to understand the new recruiting process, or just somebody who loves baseball, we want to bring conversations that can actually help people to the table. Today's episode is one that I've actually been looking forward to for a very long time. Because this is one of the topics that you're hearing all around the sport. Every high school player is hearing about right now, the transfer portal. You'll hear people saying high school recruiting is dead. You'll hear people saying coaches only want transfers. But today we're talking to guys who have actually lived through it. Joining me as a co-host today, Trey King. Trey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you, bro. So Trey was also a Georgia high school standout player. You know, you signed with Georgia, transferred to Jacksonville State, had a breakout year last year, and now you're heading to the U.
It's all about the U.
Later, we're going to have Erik Parker joining us. Erik Parker got drafted out of high school, but he decided to sign with UGA. Then he transferred to South Carolina, and he's currently in the portal right now. So, you know, instead of hearing opinions from people on social media, we're hearing directly from guys who've gone through the process of transferring, and college baseball in general. So let's get into it. All right, Trey. So before we even get into the portal, I think people should really know more about you and where you came from. So back in your high school, who was Trey King as a recruit?
As a recruit, like I got recruited kind of early. I was like my sophomore year of high school. Developed quickly. Had a standout, like a good tournament at PBR, and then like the phone started ringing. So like, as a young guy, I was getting recruited early by colleges.
Yeah, and that's huge. Definitely, you know, you worked really hard, got to that point. And I think that's the thing that a lot of younger players don't realize about, you know, how consistent you have to be with the hard work and just trying to earn the attention. Mm-hmm. So, when did recruiting actually start becoming, you know, kind of real for you?
Like around that sophomore year, like that sophomore summer is when like recruiting became real. I got my first offers from Kennesaw, Auburn, and then eventually Georgia. But around that time is when me and my teammates started getting recruited. But I would like to say that like if you're not like an early bloomer and you're not getting recruited around that time, don't panic. Because some of the best players that I know didn't get recruited until like their senior year. And some guys that don't make it are the standout guys when they're young. Yeah. So like, everyone's process is different, but for me, it started around sophomore year.
Yeah, I mean, also like PBR Player of the Year.
Yeah.
What was that? Was that your
senior year?
Senior year? I mean, yeah. That's huge, dude. You know, so obviously you mentioned that tournament at PBR that you kind of just went off, and then everything kind of started flooding in. Mm-hmm. What did you really feel like you excelled at in that tournament?
Big thing is just like IQ, like understanding the game. If you're talented, they'll find you. But what makes a difference in those college recruits is how well they know the game of baseball. And like you can like look at somebody and be like, that's a baseball player. Yeah. You see a kid who's just big, strong, and fast. Like they have the tools, but they might not be a baseball player. And that really matters getting to the next level when the game speeds up and it's still baseball, but it's a different game. You're playing a faster game. I feel like that's a big thing for high schoolers to understand. Is like, you don't have to be the biggest, strongest, or the fastest. You just need to understand the game and then continue to work hard the whole time.
Yeah, and I think one thing a lot of players think is that there's some secret formula, you know. You have to be good at this, gotta be a big power guy, speed, gotta excel in one thing. But that's really cool what you're saying with the IQ, and that's how you stood out. So, you know, most recruiting stories that I've heard are more about, you know, just consistency rather than just having one big moment. Would you kind of agree with that?
Yeah, especially like after you start getting recruited, a lot of guys will just like, they're like, oh, I'm already getting recruited. Like I'm going to tap on the brakes now instead of being on the gas pedal. Getting recruited is just a start. You get to campus, they have 5 guys that did exactly what you did in high school, were just as good as you were. They were the best player on their team. So a big thing is like, it's all about consistency. Like you haven't made it. Like you're getting recruited. That's great. Like if you want to play the next level, like that's obviously the start. But like, it's so much more than that. If you want to go and play somewhere and be like the dude somewhere that you go, you need to start like at the beginning. Like you need to continue to do what you're doing and continue to get better.
Yeah, because I mean, for you got a UGA and you're just surrounded by a bunch of dogs there.
Bunch of dudes, man. Like,
yeah, like you were on 2 teams that made it really far in the tournament. Well,
yeah, and that's like I said, like everyone, when you get on campus, like everyone's the best of the best. So if you come just thinking like that you were the best in high school and it's going to continue to be that way, you'll find yourself on the bench.
Yeah. So, you know, obviously Georgia came into the picture after a couple of offers. You know, being from Georgia, that's a pretty big deal. You probably always had kind of a dream to go there. What made Georgia feel like the right place for you?
I love the staff. It was actually the old staff that recruited me. The new staff is great too. They're all great guys. But like, family went to Georgia.
Yeah.
Everything around the house was Georgia. It felt right. I just randomly told my mom one time we were driving to a tournament, I was like, I'm going to commit to Georgia.
Yeah.
It's just exciting. Like everyone in my family, it's always been Georgia.
That's great.
So that was like a big thing for me. Is why I wanted to go there.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously your path didn't stop there. You developed a lot in those 2 years there with the great coaching staff. Then you decide to enter the portal. You eventually committed to Jacksonville State. What went into that decision, and what did you kind of see in Jacksonville State that made you commit there?
A big thing with me was like going somewhere where I could fail. But one thing my coach always said was like, this isn't the try league. You don't get to just like get in there and try. So you gotta win. Like, you have to win. And I wanted to go somewhere where I had the chance to fail and be with a staff that was going to develop me in that. And I ultimately landed on Jack State, and they did exactly what they said. They developed me. I learned who I was as a player. I learned how to play every day and adjust day to day. And that was the biggest thing. That was what they told me on when I was getting recruited. They were like, "We want you to come here and be our guy and develop and be the best college baseball player you can be." And that was my goal in the portal that time. So that was a big selling point for Jacksonville.
Yeah, I mean, looking back, committing to Jacks, getting everyday opportunities. I mean, you put together a great year, hitting 340, 4 bombs. Got to work on that juice a little bit, but that definitely raised your profile a lot. So you kind of touched on how important it was finding a place that allows you to fail.
The big thing for me is like failure is only a failure if you don't learn. So like if you fail one time and you learn, it's not a failure. You ended up like that's an opportunity. Right? So when I say the ability to fail, is like I wanted the opportunity to learn and develop as a person and a player, and that's how you get better in the game. Because if you go out there and only do what you're good at, you're never going to get better. You need to go in places where you're not so good, address the problem, and then continue to develop by failing. But it's not really a failure because you're just taking that opportunity to be better. So when I said like I wanted somewhere I could fail, I wanted somewhere I could do that. And then Jacksonville allowed me to do that. And obviously, it was great baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, we won 48 games.
I mean, that's where you thrived also.
Yeah. We were a great team. And, like, I'm not saying that, like, I was just going to play every day. It wasn't like that. I got benched a game. Like, it's real. It's good baseball everywhere you go. Yeah. And you're going to have to work your ass off to play every day wherever you go. But the ability to get better through failure was huge for me.
Yeah, and now it's, your coach leaves back in the portal again. Yeah. Going to the U. Oh yeah. Like that's a very unique journey that you just took.
Yeah.
What are you kind of hoping that you see in Miami for this next season?
So this time in the portal, I actually was not planning on being in the portal. I wanted to stay. I love the staff. We developed a great relationship. They ended up leaving. Worked out for me to get in the portal. But this time around, like I wanted to go from developing into a good college baseball player to I want to be the best college baseball player, and I want to get drafted. So like Miami has such great history. They went to Omaha so many times back in the day, and we're trying to get like that again.
You're gonna take them back there.
Yeah, we're gonna go back to Omaha. But with Miami, man, there's just so much talent and so much history and so many big leaguers down there that you're just around so many great minds. So for me, when they were telling me all the stuff that they had to offer me, it was a no-brainer. There's just so much talent and so much experience down there that it made it to where I could have the best opportunity to get drafted.
Yeah, man, that's great. I mean, I think you can definitely thrive there at Miami. So, looking back now, what are some things that you wish you understood during the recruiting process? I know the transfer portal wasn't big when you were getting recruited. Yeah. But what would you want to tell your sophomore year self before going into that summer?
keep working hard, keep getting stronger. I kind of slacked on the weightlifting side, and that ended up being my problem when I got to Georgia. As you know, they hit a bunch of homers, and I didn't.
Yeah, feed
I
the
didn't.
trees.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't have the pop that I needed. I had the glove. That's what got me in the lineup. Sometimes, but I would have told myself like continue to work out, continue to work hard. If that's really what you want to do, it needs to be your everyday thing. Like it's not baseball is not a game that you can just like here and there play. Like obviously it's a fun game. If you want to do that, do that. But like if your goal is to be the top level athlete and go to a D1 and have success, you just need to continue to work every day and be like, there's no comparing. Like I said, there's 5 dudes that are just like you, and you need to beat them out in high school. And then when you get on campus, now you're beating out guys that have been in college for 3 or 4 years, especially with the 4th and 5th years and strength and all that and experience. And you just need to continue to develop and don't be the smartest person in the room. Be with people that are better than you and make yourself better. That's what I would have told myself.
Love that. Well, thank you. We're going to cut to the segment with Erik Parker real quick, but thank you so much for being on here.
No problem, dude. That was fun.
Erik, appreciate you for hopping on this, bro. It means a lot. You know, your story is very interesting just because you've been at Georgia, South Carolina, now back in the portal. So, you know, you've seen the SEC side of things and how rosters are built. Just to start off, like, do you want to explain, like, what type of player you were coming out of high school?
Yeah, I mean, out of high school, I wasn't like a very powerful hitter. I mean, I come around, hit like a few home runs here and there. It's more like on like the athletic side, twitchy, fast, just gets hits, great defense. So I was kind of like I had like a 5 tool player, but it was very interesting coming out of high school.
Yeah, you know, so obviously you got drafted out of high school also. I mean, that's a big part. You're faced with a bunch of different opportunities, 2 great career paths, either go to UGA or the college. How did you kind of end up choosing going to UGA instead of going through the draft?
I mean, it was it was like a whole process between me, my family, and my advisor. And we all just came down to the agreement of just betting on myself. So I just put everything on me and just till this day, like I'm gonna keep betting on myself. So just betting on myself throughout this whole process.
Yeah, you know, for a lot of players being recruited, I feel like recruiting almost feels kind of like a mystery. But for somebody in your position, I'm sure there are a bunch of conversations, visits, decisions happening behind the scenes that, you know, people never saw. What was that process actually like?
I mean, it was pretty hectic, but also it was pretty fun just hearing from other colleges and getting their perspective and like their interest in me. I mean, that's kind of like a kid's like well, like a player's like dream, just getting calls from other like D1 schools, SEC schools, ACC schools, and just hearing them talk and just having the opportunity from different colleges. So I mean, it was a fun process.
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously, when you're a very highly recruited player, I mean, I think it makes the decision, you know, very hard. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people think it would make it easier, but so looking back, what factors kind of do you think mattered most when you chose UGA?
I mean, it was just really kind of like the background of what Wes and the staff had. I mean, and I had a lot of people, a lot of people that go there at UGA on the team before, and they just had good words about him. So I was like, okay, yeah, I mean, that's good. And then and then who else wouldn't want to play in their hometown? So
Yeah, man.
I mean that's kind of like one of like the biggest parts and just the development. So it was that was kind of one of like the main reasons.
Yeah, bro. I mean, obviously, your journey didn't stop there. You know, you developed a lot. You then transferred to South Carolina, got experience in another SEC program and, you know, another coaching staff. What was that transition like, and what did you learn from your time at South Carolina?
I mean, the transition was pretty it wasn't tough, but it was just like an interesting transition. I mean, going from me being committed to South Carolina before Georgia and then decommitted and just coming back, it was a lot of praise there. And I mean, it felt like home once again because it was once a place where I wanted to go throughout my whole like high school career. So I mean, it was fun. I mean, I learned a lot, really. I mean, I learned a lot of adversity, basically, a lot of adversity with the coaching changes, mid-season, people getting hurt, and just all like the negativity. So I learned how to just battle through a lot of like adversity.
Yeah, I think that's big. You know, now back in the portal again, that's something a lot of players, you know, they may never experience, but also others might find themselves in the exact situation with how the transfer portal is playing such a big impact. This time around, what's it been like navigating the portal, and how different does it feel compared to being recruited the past couple of times?
I mean, now it's just more of like me just searching for a place where I could like find a place where I can play every day, and just get more opportunities. And what I'm doing now, I'm being way more conservative, way more patient with who I decide to call home. I look back to like my past recruiting. I didn't really take it very much seriously, I think, and I didn't give any other schools or any other coaches much thought. I just think one team is this, and I went at it. But I think this I'm more patient with my process.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, you've now seen recruiting, I think, from just about every angle possible. Highly recruited high school player to that could go play pro, SEC player, and now someone who's gone through the portal multiple times. If you could sit down with your high school self, let's say your freshman year self, who's starting the recruiting process, what advice would you give to him?
I'll probably say just take your time with everything. Don't let all this go towards your head, and don't just pick a school just because of the conference or the name it has. Pick somewhere where you believe in the coaches and what they have done in the past and what can make you a better player throughout your college career.
Yeah, man, that's great. Hey, thank you so much for being on this.
Of course.
Great luck the rest of the summer, bro, and see you around, bro.
So Trey, before we wrap up, I wanted to ask you about something, neither of us have really touched on. You've been around a lot of talented players, Jax, UGA, definitely around a lot of talent. What's one trait that all of these top players, what you're talking about, the top of the top, what's one trait that they all seem to have in common?
It's definitely confidence. Baseball is a game where you just have to be like the most confident person on the field, and like how you portray that can vary, obviously. But you just have to be confident in yourself because your voice in your head is the loudest voice you're going to hear, and if you continue to like tell yourself that you're like not doing good or I'm in a slump or like something like that, like you don't want to allow yourself to actually think that. You want to be confident in who you are as a player and that you're going to have success in every aspect of the game. So I would say confidence for sure.
Yeah, so last question. But one thing I hear all the time from high school players, either Johns Creek, travel ball, is how do you know if a school is the right fit? And you've been through some visits, a lot of stuff through the portal, having to build relationships with certain coaches. What are some things that these recruits should be paying attention to make sure it's going to be the right fit?
So one thing is you got to realize that the schools are trying to sell the school to you. So they're going to show you how great and how awesome everything is and like what you're going to get and all this, which is great because like a lot of it's true, but a lot of it is like they want you to go there. I think you should look out for what their plan is for you and like how they want you to be. If they have a direct plan for you or like if you're going to fit what they need. So like, why would I go to a school that already has 3 shortstops? I'm shortstop, so like you need to look for that. And you need to be honest with yourself about like where you're going to play. Playing is the biggest thing, whether that's at the SEC D1s, ACC D1s, or if you're going JUCO. Playing is huge. So you need to go somewhere that the coaches want you to play and they want you to be their guy. And they're not just selling that to you, that they believe that. That's a big thing that people should look out for.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting perspective. And honestly, I think that's one of a really big takeaway that we have from today's episode. Recruiting, it's constantly changing. College baseball is definitely changing also. But the fundamentals, they really haven't changed. You got to still develop your game, build relationships, find the right fit, and, keep betting on yourself, like you're saying, with that confidence right there. So huge thank you to you and also EP for hopping on this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you follow Rep the Peach Media on Instagram, YouTube. Check out our merch, brand new t-shirts, hoodies, anything. If you want a color, just let me know. I'm Drew King, and this has been Rep the Peach Media. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.